Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people aren't poor because they have to be. They're poor because they've been tricked into staying poor. And yeah, I said it. You're not broke because the universe hates you. You're broke because society handed you a playbook designed to keep you running in circles, like a hamster on a treadmill powered by Starbucks lattes and Netflix subscriptions. This might be the most important video you watch all day, because by the end, you'll know exactly why most people stay poor, and the sneaky ways to climb out before it swallows your future. And the wild part? The rules you've been told to follow. Go to school, get a job, buy a house, grind for 40 years. Sorry to break it to you, but those rules were written for you to lose. So I don't want to waste any time on this one because it's going to sting, but I promise it's also going to be the wake-up call you've been waiting for. Reason number 1, they confuse income with wealth. Let's start with the classic money trap, which is an important point I need everyone to understand. People think having a big paycheck means they're rich. You know that coworker who buys a brand new car the second they get promoted? Or the dude flexing on Instagram with bottle service, but he's sweating bullets when rent hits? Yeah, that's income rich, wealth poor. Here's the deal. Income equals money coming in. Wealth equals money you keep and grow. Most people mistake the two and start spending like rappers with a one-hit wonder. They don't realize the guy making $50,000 but investing half is wealthier than the guy making $200,000 and spending $210,000. So here's your escape move. Stop asking, how much do I earn? Start asking, how much can I keep and multiply? Wealth isn't about flexing, it's about freedom. The freedom to say no to a toxic job. The freedom to choose. And speaking of toxic jobs, let's talk about the second reason people stay broke, because their entire life revolves around selling their hours. Reason number 2, they trade time for money forever. Now listen closely, because here's a concept that most people fail to realize. If every dollar you earn depends on you being physically present, you're on the slow train to burnout and poverty. Just stop and think about it. Doctors, lawyers, delivery drivers, cashiers, software engineers, if they stop working, the money stops flowing. That's not wealth. That's a high-paying leash. Why do most people stay broke? Because they never graduate from this system. They keep exchanging time for money until time runs out. Here's your escape move. Build income streams that don't depend on you being there 24/7. Side hustles, digital assets, real estate, stocks that pay dividends while you sleep. Your money should be clocking in while you're binge watching Netflix. Or better yet, while you're asleep. But here's the crazy part. Even if people start making good money, they still stay broke. Why? Because of this next wealth-destroying habit that quietly eats them alive. Reason number 3, they worship lifestyle inflation. So what do I even mean by this? Well, here's how it goes down. You finally get a raise. Your paycheck goes up. And instead of stacking that extra cash, suddenly your lifestyle goes up too. Bigger apartment, nicer car. Designer sneakers that cost more than your entire childhood wardrobe. It's called lifestyle inflation. And it's the reason why people making $40,000 and people making $140,000 both end up broke. Because the problem isn't income, it's behavior. Most people stay poor because they keep chasing status symbols instead of stacking assets. They spend every new dollar trying to look rich instead of using those dollars to become rich. Think about it. Warren Buffett still lives in the same house he bought in 1958. Meanwhile, Dave down the street just signed a 7-year loan for a $70,000 truck to feel successful. Who's actually winning here? Here's your escape move. The next time you level up your income, lock in your lifestyle. Don't upgrade it. Funnel that raise into investments. Build the gap between what you make and what you spend. That gap, that's wealth. And please, I have to pause the video right now and explain something to you. Most people will watch our YouTube channel and don't apply anything I'm telling you. And it's not just this video. We've created an entire playlist in our Financial Freedom series that breaks everything down in detail. Go back and watch those videos after this one and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But anyways, here's the twist. Even if you don't blow your cash on toys, there's another trap that keeps millions of folks broke, and it hides in plain sight. Reason number 4, they treat debt like a normal roommate. I'll discuss this briefly because I've already talked about it in previous videos. But let me just try and paint a picture for you so you can fully understand. Here's the scene. You're sitting at the kitchen table, rent's due, bills stacked up, and then, oh yeah, your roommate debt shows up, asking for their share too. Except this roommate never leaves, and every month they want a little more. credit card balances, car payments, student loans that follow you like a bad tattoo. Most people stay broke because they normalize debt. They treat it like part of adulthood instead of the wealth-sucking parasite it really is. And look, don't get it twisted. Not all debt is evil. Debt that buys you assets? That's leverage. But the problem is, most people rack up liability debt. Stuff that loses value the second you swipe for it. Here's your escape move. If your debt isn't making you money, kill it fast. Pay it down, refinance it, hustle it away. The sooner you kick debt out of the house, the sooner wealth can actually move in. All right, now you might be thinking, okay, if I avoid lifestyle creep and debt, I'm good, right? Not quite, because the next reason people stay poor has nothing to do with money itself, and everything to do with how they think about it. Reason number 5, they believe hard work equals wealth. Now this one's gonna sting a little because I've been here before. We've all been told since kindergarten, work hard and you'll be successful. But here's the cold reality. Hard work doesn't equal rich. I mean, if it did, construction workers, single moms juggling 2 jobs, and delivery drivers grinding 60 hours a week would all be millionaires. But they're not. And since I've talked about this topic extensively, I often get the same recurring question. Why do hard workers still struggle with money? Well, it's simple. Because wealth doesn't reward sweat. It rewards strategy. The world doesn't pay you for effort. It pays you for leverage. Leverage of skills, leverage of money, leverage of systems. Most people stay broke because they confuse being busy with being wealthy. They're like hamsters bragging about how many steps they took on the wheel, while the wealthy are sitting outside the cage, owning the wheel factory. Here's your escape move. Shift from effort-based thinking to leverage-based thinking. Stop asking, how can I work harder? Start asking, how can I build systems that work without me? And speaking of systems, here's the brutal truth. Most people don't even know the rules of the money game they're trying to win. Reason number 6, they're financially illiterate and don't even know it. Here's a fun fact I want everyone watching this to understand. Most people spend 12 years in school learning how to find the hypotenuse of a triangle, but never one single hour learning how credit works, how taxes crush your paycheck, or how compound interest could quietly make you rich. And honestly, that's not an accident. That's the system working exactly as planned. Financial illiteracy is the silent disease keeping people broke. Think about it. They don't know the difference between assets and liabilities. They think saving in a bank account makes them responsible. They treat the stock market like a casino instead of the greatest wealth-building tool ever created. The rich? They hire accountants, lawyers, and advisors to make sure their money multiplies. The average person? They hand half their paycheck to debt collectors and the IRS without even realizing it. Here's your escape move. Become a student of money. And I don't mean TikTok gurus selling you get-rich-quick courses. I mean actual financial education. Books, podcasts, mentors, YouTube channels, like this one, of course. Because if you don't understand the rules, you're not just losing the game, you're not even playing it. But here's the sneaky part. Even when people do learn about money, they often sabotage themselves in a way that's almost invisible. And it's not about income or savings or debt. It's about the way they spend. Reason number 7, they spend emotionally, not logically. All right, look. If you're a longtime subscriber, you already know what I'm about to say, so I'll get straight to the point. Most people don't buy with their brain. They buy with their feelings. Ever notice how you're more likely to grab snacks at the grocery store when you're hungry? Or how that limited time-only sale magically convinces you that you need another pair of sneakers even though you already have 6? That's not an accident. That's psychology. Companies spend billions learning how to push your emotional buttons. They know the right colors to make a buy now button irresistible. They know the exact words, like exclusive or final chance, that trigger your brain to panic. They even pump bakery smells through the events at supermarkets to make you shop hungrier. And you wonder why your bank account is gasping for air. Most people stay broke because they let their emotions run their wallet. Every treat yourself moment adds up. And eventually, the only thing you're treating yourself to is overdraft fees. Here's your escape move. Build a money system that saves you from you. Automate your savings and investments before you ever see the cash. That way, by the time your emotions kick in, the wealth building part is already handled. But let's be real. Even if you control your emotions, there's another silent killer of wealth, and it's not what you buy. It's who you're trying to impress when you buy it. Reason number 8, They compare themselves to the wrong people. Okay, now I want to spice things up a bit, so let's play a game. Who do you think is richer? The guy in your office driving a brand new BMW, or the quiet woman down the street who drives a 10-year-old Toyota and never talks about money? If you guessed the BMW guy, congratulations. You've fallen for the trap that keeps people broke. Social comparison is financial quicksand. Most people are trying to keep up with the Joneses. But here's the plot twist. The Joneses are broke too. They're just good at hiding it with leased cars, financed vacations, and maxed out credit cards. Meanwhile, the wealthy, they're not even playing the same game. They're not flexing on Instagram. They're stacking stocks, businesses, and real estate behind the scenes. Most people stay poor because they let their spending be dictated by ego instead of strategy. They're competing in a race that has no finish line because there's always someone with a bigger house, a shinier watch, or a flashier car. Here's your escape move. Stop competing with your neighbors and start competing with yourself. Ask, am I richer than I was last year? If the answer is yes, you're winning. If the answer is no, then flexing on your neighbor doesn't matter anyway. You're both losing. Now, here's where it gets even darker. Because even if you avoid emotional spending and stop competing with broke neighbors, there's one final reason people stay stuck. And it's not external, it's internal. Reason number 9, they fear risk more than they fear regret. All right, look, I need to address something real quick, so pay attention. Because here's the irony. Most people are terrified of losing money. They'll avoid investing because the stock market is risky. They'll never start a business because what if it fails? They'll stay in a dead-end job because at least it's stable. But you know what's riskier than losing money? Spending 40 years in the same job, retiring broke, and realizing you wasted your prime years playing it safe. Most people stay poor because they let fear run their financial life. They're so scared of making the wrong move, they make no moves. And here's the kicker. Not moving is the worst move of all. The rich, they understand calculated risk. They know losing money is temporary, but regret is permanent. Here's your escape move. Flip your mindset. Don't ask, what if it doesn't work? Ask, what if it does? Because the only thing scarier than failing is never even trying. And that brings us to the final reason people stay broke. It's not about their paycheck, their debt, or even their fear. It's about the story they keep telling themselves every single day. Reason number 10, they don't believe they deserve wealth. To be honest, I don't know why I haven't already discussed this in our Financial Freedom series, because it's the most dangerous trap of all. Because if you secretly believe you'll always be broke, guess what? You will. Most people carry limiting beliefs like, people like me don't get rich. Money is evil. I wasn't born into the right family. And here's the thing, beliefs shape behavior. If you believe you'll always struggle, you'll never take the steps to escape. You'll sabotage yourself before you even begin. Meanwhile, the wealthy, they believe they're supposed to win. Not in an arrogant way, but in a confident, I'll figure it out way. And because they believe it, they take the risks, learn the skills, and create the opportunities that turn into wealth. Here's your escape move. Rewrite your money story. Replace I can't with I can learn. Replace I don't deserve it with why not me? Because here's the truth. Wealth doesn't care about your background, your job, or your past mistakes. It only cares about your mindset and your actions. And that brings us full circle. Because now you see, it's not one single thing keeping people broke. It's a collection of habits, beliefs, and traps. But the good news, every single one of them has an escape hatch. At the end of the day, poverty is not just about money. It's about mindset, habits, and choices. And here's the thing, escaping isn't about winning the lottery or stumbling into a miracle. It's about making small, boring, repeatable choices over and over until one day you wake up and realize you're free. So here's what I want you to do. Comment the word escape if this video opened your eyes and you're ready to break out of the cycle. As a matter of fact, if you thought you're behind in life, there's actually a specific reason why most folks appear richer than you are. We break it down and give you the full scoop in this next video. Just click or tap the video on the screen now, and we'll see you in the next one.